Welcome to Iconic Leadership, the podcast for female entrepreneurs who know they're here to lead, not just build a business. This show is for women stepping into the Alpha Queen era, where leadership becomes identity, power is embodied, and success is created from the inside out. Here, we explore sovereign leadership, expansion, vision, purpose, business, and the inner work that is required to build an empire that fits the woman you are becoming. Strategy matters, but who you are matters more. I'm Carissa Atkins, and this is Iconic Leadership. Welcome to the new standard of the Alpha Queen power. Hey, welcome back, ladies. Welcome to Iconic Leadership Podcast Show. And today's episode is a special one because we're not just talking about leadership, and we're not just going to talk about business, and we're not going to talk about personal inner growth or mindset necessarily, although all of those may come into the conversation. But today we are talking about what it actually looks like to build a strong relationship while both people are growing, while both people are evolving, and while both people are pursuing purpose at a high level. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I did an awesome show, an awesome episode with my husband Will, and I had so much fun, and I was like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do it again, and because I really want to bring this out of the professional leadership realm and into real life, real reality, and like what it looks like for us to kind of create this power couple mentality. So I'm bringing on my husband Will again, who I absolutely love, adore, respect, and although just like any marriage, right, there are the highs, there are also the lows, but we've learned from the lows, and we just continuously make us work. So, for those of you who don't know, well, you know what, really quick, honey, welcome to the show. Welcome back to Iconic Leadership.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, we are a military family. Okay, in case you missed the last episode, in case you missed any of my lives anywhere else, and you're like, holy shit, because it does surprise me that people still don't realize that I have been a military spouse, and before even Will, I was a military spouse. So going on over 20 years as a military spouse, and I honestly didn't think that I would even enjoy that lifestyle, but I've actually grown to love it. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Will and I, we are a military family. We are military couple. He's active duty in the Air Force. I'm an entrepreneur. We're also a very blended family. Okay. Meaning we both bring kids to the relationship. We both bring different families, different dynamics, all of that. And on top of all of that, we're both extremely driven, extremely independent, and committed, like 100% committed to our growth and our goals. So there are a lot of dynamics at play here. Okay. But what I'm really proud of is through all of that, we have built a relationship that isn't just about love. It's about partnership. It's about being a teammate. It's about challenging each other to become the best versions of us. Like I truly, when people say ride or die, like this man is my ride or die. He's got my back no matter what, even if I'm in the wrong. He's just such a special human being. And even though sometimes I worry when I bring him around my friends or my clients, like everyone loves Will and they all talk about Will and all of my Instagram reels, the most popular ones are the ones when I bring Will on. So like, hey, why not? We're going to bring Will into Iconic Leadership again. So, babe, I could sure tell them our humble beginnings of like how we met, but do you want to take that and just like a quick minute of how we met?
Yeah, I can. I was stationed in Omaha, and I was very close to leaving to go to my next duty station. And I go to the gym every morning. 3:45 is when I wake up. I get there at 4:15. It's like clockwork every single day. And I noticed right that there was this what I considered an officer's wife at the time. I saw her every day too. She was motivated, and that's where I met Carissa was in the gym, and after introducing myself and working out together, I realized that she was a driven individual, much like myself. a great leader in her own respect, and we had a lot of things in common. And the most important one is going to the gym, caring about yourself and your health and fitness, and yeah, that's where we met in the gym, Omaha.
In Omaha, Nebraska. Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, he left out so many details that I would tell a different story. We're not going to get into that because like I love how each of
You
us bring.
said 1 minute.
You're right. You are right. Okay. Thank you for calling me on that. I appreciate it. Okay. So, yes, we met in a gym. So from the very beginning, health, discipline, and growth were our core values together, right? They connected us. But beyond that, what really brought us together was how we think around mindset, leadership, and becoming better human beings. And over time, we've had to learn how to really blend what he stands for and what I stand for into something that actually works for both of us. So last year, we even took it even further. Okay, we took it even further. We ran our very first Rise Up Ultimate Power Couples Experience at Punta Cana, where we brought together 8 amazing couples. We walked through, workshops and experiences around communication, boundaries, goal setting, identity creation, and what it really takes to become a strong, aligned team. And what we realized at this experience was being a power couple isn't all about looking good on the outside. It's about what we are willing to work through and communicate through and grow through behind the scenes when no one's watching, right? So today we're going to have that real conversation around what it takes and that we believe what it takes to create a strong, marriage, partnership, and what really works for us. We're not going to, we'll full disclaimer, Will and I, we always say we're not couples, therapists. We are not couple coaches. We just know how to do couples all the wrong way. And then when we found each other, we were like, you know what? You're my people. Your crazy matches my crazy. I'm willing to work on this life, my flaws with you, and let's figure this shit out, because we fell in love after just like 45 days. It was insanely, incredibly amazing and scary all at the same time. So today's conversation isn't going to sound perfect. It's not flawless. Neither is our relationship. But I'm telling you right now, it will be very, very intentional. So with that, let's get into it. So, and this is where I kind of want to start, babe. What do you think is the number one thing that has allowed us to stay strong as a couple while still growing individually in our own careers and purpose?
Yeah, I think this is something that we both work on consistently, and that's like grace, right?
Mm,
Like I understand, um, I've had to come to understand that like your career is very important to you, or like previous relationships that I was in, it's like me being the spouse and the military member, is that a lot of decisions revolve around my career. And
mhm,
when you have somebody that's driven and they care about their career, you have to learn to give that individual and your relationship some grace, or there's going to be friction, right? Because if you're and I love you, right? And you are very similar to me. And if in that regard, if you're as driven as I am, I understand that your career is very important to you. And what kind of person would I be if I'm like, no, you need to put your stuff on the back burner because mine is more important, right? That creates extreme friction, and that's not a relationship. That's not even a teammate that I would want to have on my team, right?
mm.
So I think grace is a huge one, that I work on consistently, and I think it's super important to have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I love that. I didn't know what you were gonna say on that, but grace is very, very, I think a key component, grace and patience. I know for me, I think the number one thing that has allowed us to stay strong as a couple is um is really being able to communicate like what is important to us and then understanding that like that is important. Like from Jump Street, you guys, he would tell me about his goals that he wants to achieve in his military career. And vice versa. Like, what kind of wife would I be if I was like, well, yeah, that's important, but I don't want to live there and I don't want to get stationed there and I don't want to do that and I don't want to do that. I think that that's very selfish as a woman. And so I think for me is that I'm always open-minded to whatever path we have to go down, because I mean, if the military tells you to go somewhere, baby, like we're going, right? Like there's no like ifs, ands, buts about it. So I think it was important for, for any woman to understand, like when you're getting into a dynamic, like a partnership with someone who does have goals and who's someone who does care deeply for what they do and very, very passionate for his career, like I have to say, okay, and I'm willing to step into this experience with you. I don't expect to stay in my little comfy bubble. I don't expect, to have to live in one spot. Like I'm okay and I'm open to wherever life takes us because as long as we're
That's
together, I truly think we can get through that.
that's such a great point, right? And I guess the question would be, and to bring it back like full circle, is like, okay, so let's take for instance, when I received the news that I was getting stationed over here in the UK, and I was so extremely happy, right? And you had gotten the same news at that time with a wildly different, opinion of it, right? So how did you navigate that, right? Like how did you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I can literally remember it like yesterday. So we were stationed in New Mexico. And we were in like New Mexico was not like necessarily the best place coming from Nebraska. It was very green, like rain, like all of the things. But you know what? We jumped in. I jumped in. I followed Will to New Mexico, moved my entire family there, my kids. He embodied all of that. He went from like, solo living to like me and the kids and the family and the dog and like all of the things. So we're sitting there in the living room, and after what, 3 years of being there, 3 or 4 years stationed in New Mexico, you know, it wasn't necessarily the best place for his career, in a sense, right? There, it had its own challenges. And I said, well, baby, do whatever you got to do to get us out of here, and he's like, okay. So he puts in for all of these different bases. And in order for him to do, for us to get out of that base, he knows how to work the system, guys. He had to volunteer pretty much and say yes to a 1 year deployment away. And that meant that he was going to have to leave, right, for a year. And that's difficult. And I know that's not, I'm not going to take that conversation where there yet. If it comes up later, great. But yeah, like, so that news came and I was like, holy crap. And he goes, and I have our follow on. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like where you're going to go and where we're going to go after I go here for a year. And I was like, oh my God, where? And he's like, the UK. Well, I think I even read it. I was like, Lake and Heath, Mildenhall, all AF or whatever. I was like, oh my God. And it just kind of sat in. I was like, I think I know this is in the UK. And I'm like, ah, right. And I'm like crying. And he's like, yeah, this is amazing. I've always wanted to go to Europe. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Y'all, I had just hit one of the biggest financial years in my business. So my brain went, oh, hell no. Like, I cannot pack up my entire life right now, my business, my clients, everything that I've worked so hard for to go in the UK. Like, this is crazy. So for me, what helped me, honestly, is one, we did have a conversation about it, but I'm a big believer in going to your coaches and I'm very strategic. So I just had to hear my coach say, Carissa, let's make a plan, because he, like everyone knows I'm very strategic. So as long as there's a plan and I feel like I'm in control, I am okay. Because in my brain, I was like, this is not control. I cannot control this. This is going to be insane. And I set up a call with my coach and we literally was like, okay, how does this transition look like 6 hours into the future? Like, how are you going to coach? What are the boundaries going to have to be? And I just literally set up another plan. And I was like, okay, I got this. We can go now. So yeah, that's for me is what really helped me was not necessarily in that moment going to Will. I mean, I did, we had a conversation, but I needed to go to my business coach and say, help me grasp my head around it. Hopefully I answered that.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Yeah, yeah. Because like that helped me business wise, guys. Personal wise, I knew we'd be able to do it. I mean, at the time, I thought if I could live in New Mexico, then I can live anywhere. I'd already been stationed in Germany a long time ago with my husband, my was husband, and so it wasn't the travel. It was more of just like, how am I going to make my business work with this move? Because my marriage is important to me too. And I've seen a lot of spouses not follow their husbands' places, and I'm like, no, right? That's not a team. We are a team. That's what makes us so uniquely different. Wow, that was a big one. Okay, so before we go into how we lead and support one another, I think it's important for us to just kind of come back to very quickly teammate mentality, because you actually kind of introduced me to this. And then it made total sense for me because I was like, you're right. When we met, we were both going through our own messy divorces. And, you know, we had our own perspective of like, oh, do I want to get married again? Do I not? Whatever. But um, I remember when Will just kind of like dropped this like golden nugget. And he's like, we're like a team. It's a team. We do things as a team. We are a unit, right? It's not us against each other. It's us against the problem. So, babe, how would you describe teammate mentality? And like, where did that even concept even come from for you?
Yeah, that's great. And it's not us against the problems, it's us against the world. Because I don't give a shit about anything that's happening outside of my bubble, right? If it does not affect me or mine, I don't legitimately care about it. But yeah, so teammate mentality, stemmed from my failure as a husband in my first relationship. And I always like to, when things fail, I like to look back and see what part, I took in that failure.
Hmm.
Um, and the problem was is that I wasn't a teammate to, my wife. I was a teammate to the Air Force. I was, married to the Air Force essentially. And that drove a wedge in my relationship and ultimately ended in divorce. Um, and if I wanted a wife, I could just walk down the street. It's easy to find a relationship. Doesn't mean it's good. I don't need a wife. I need a teammate, somebody that's gonna uh, you know be there to support me. I can be there to support, hold me accountable, and help me grow. You know,
Mm-hmm.
People think of a relationship as like, oh, she does the dishes, because I cook dinner. Like it's yeah, like that's a good dynamic or whatever, but like it's the team behind it. It's okay, not all the time it is I'm gonna be able to cook dinner. So sometimes she has to cook dinner and clean the dishes because I'm working on something else. And there's a give and take with a teammate. Whereas with a wife, it's like it starts to build resentment. You're like, oh, she never fucking cleans the dishes, or she never picks up the toys after the kid, and you kind of start resenting, your partner in that relationship when you think of that person as just a wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I remember you saying something like that. And I completely agree. I was like, you're right. If I want a husband, I can go out and get a husband at any point in time. We're both young people at the time. I was like, anyone can be a husband to me, but I am looking for a rock solid teammate, someone too, like I've said it before, like the ride or die, like I've got your back, even if I know in the wrong, but you know what? If we're in public, I still got your back, girl. And then we'll have a conversation, about it. Like I want someone to challenge me. I want someone to see what I'm capable of and to see my vision and to hold me to those standards that's going to help me get there, even when I don't want to be called out all the time or whatever. But I'm like, I respect that. So I do love
any
the
of the
teammate
time.
mentality. Yeah. Yeah. The challenge, the accountability is huge. And I think that that's a really important part. Some would even say possibly even like our core values. I'm curious, what would you say? I mean, I feel like I know what our core values are, but I'm just curious, what would you say our core values are based on who we both are?
Yeah, that's great, right? Because you, in the beginning, you had already alluded to what the core values of our relationship are. And I would say I have a little bit different. I would say the first and foremost is growth, right? Absolutely. We're always pushing each other to grow and be the best version of ourselves each and every day, whether it's in the gym, whether it's professionally, or whether it's in our personal life, following personal goals. right? That's growth is number one. The next one is accountability. You hold me accountable just as much as I hold you accountable. The reception of that is slightly different, but but we do that, right? So growth, accountability, and then connection. I think connection is huge to us. Feeling connected, whether that be sitting on the couch, cuddled up together, or more intimate, right? That's connection is huge. I think growth, accountability, and connection is what I would say our core values is in our relationship.
Yeah, I agree to that. We would obviously add health to it because that's our foundation. So, I mean, if you guys don't know this about us, we work out together. Like, as long as we're in the same country and living in the same house, right? We are working out together every single day. A lot of women that I know are like, I don't know how you work out with your husband. Lord knows, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I love the fact that we work out every single day together. I mean, we do cardio together, we lift together, we strength train together.
Do we
We
do leg day together?
yeah, okay. I was like, I could get into that, but we just have so many amazing things that like, and so we do love challenging each other. Like we're both very competitive, in a way. But I would say besides health and besides growth mindset, right? Because we both are trying to push each other to our limits without trying to control or change each other as well. So I think that that's more of that for me, that's that growth mindset. I would just expand upon that. It's like, yes, we challenge each other, but without having to try and control or change, because I've been in a relationship where it's like, oh, you're challenging me, but really it's control. And I love that you're like, nope, these are your goals and your dreams, babe, and I'm gonna challenge you to get. I mean, he's always like, you can do better than that. Don't short yourself, right? Like whatever it is. I think another important thing is for us is it's communication on what we want our life to look like. Like every year, you guys, we sit down and we write out not only our personal goals, but we also work and come together as like couples goals. And we think, short term, we think long term. This has actually been like become a tradition for us. It started out around Will's birthday in October, but we go and we sit and we limit the distractions and we ask ourselves like, what's important to us? What do we want to create this year? What do we want to do together this year? What are the areas in which we want to grow in together? What are the books that we want to read together? So it's because I feel like when you marry your best friend, you do want to do things together. Now, don't get me wrong. I do love my independent space. I do love my girl time. We all need it, but I do love my man time, right? Like my man is my couple. He's my teammate. And I love doing things with my best friend. And I think that was probably a huge foundation as well for us is like we became friends, like almost like best friends before we truly fell in love. I think it was best friendship is what created love for me, for you, is because like he was like the rock. He was like the person I could have conversations with around the shitty divorce I was going through that wasn't telling me I shouldn't get a divorce, right? It was, because I had a whole life and a whole family and a whole friend saying, oh, Carissa, that's not right. Don't do that. Stick to like that's not Christian like all of those things where he would come at it from a different perspective and as a friend, right? It wasn't even like we're just I mean, he was gonna move, y'all. Like I was like, oh, cool, I'm not going to New Mexico and like we can just be friends. That's how it started. So yeah, I would kind of add that on top of those values, that's for sure. It's like we
Yeah.
communicate our goals with each other. We're very
Yeah.
growth minded, health, accountable. Love it. Love it. Love it. Did I
Yeah.
miss anything?
No, yeah. I think they all flow within each other. So yeah, I think
Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So I want to go a little bit deeper into this here. So how do we decide when to lead and when to support each other? And what does that actually look like in real life, do you think? So yeah, yeah. I'm gonna leave it at like how do you decide when it's time to lead Carissa and help Carissa like go to a better spot versus just support Carissa?
yeah, that's always you have such great questions. So when I'm dancing, I'm leading. No, but seriously, right? So it all stems from awareness, right? And if you know if you have any leadership ability about you, you should be somewhat aware of when is a good time to be a follower and shut the fuck up, or be a leader and take charge, right? So in this regard, and an example of this is, okay, Carissa, like you understood that when we got ordered. See, I knew this was coming at some point. Uh, when I got orders over here, you knew that, yeah, this he has to lead us over here. I have to take, I have to be a follower and go with him in this regard. So you had awareness that, yes, yeah, this kind of sucks, but I have to be a follower in this regard. Okay, fast forward a couple years, you said, hey, I need to go back for a couple months. I have an event I'm planning. I have cash stacked it right with multiple other events. You're going to Bakersfield, your birthdays and Mother's Day and all that stuff. I was like, okay, I need to be a follower in this regard. This is something that she needs to go do. But I think it all stems from awareness, right? You need to, and if you have any leadership about you, ability, you'll understand there's a good time to be a follower and a good time to step up and be a leader.
I 100% agree. And wow, that was a really great example. It's the other day, babe, someone asked me, they're like, "Oh, isn't that hard? Like you being away from him for three?" They're like, "You've been here how long?" And I'm like,
For
"Oh,
her, no. For me, yes.
we're not getting into this, babe." Uh, no, but for real, this conversation came up. I was at a networking event and they're like, "Wow, it feels like you've been here for like a while." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got here on February 13th. I wanted to be here for my daughter's birthday. It was actually my husband's idea." So I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Right. And then of course the original checkout day was March 23rd. We were going to fly home together because you flew in for my event to come and support me, which I love. I thank you. I needed you there. But then I was like, it doesn't make sense, right, for me to fly back. I got a couple of speaking engagements in between then. I've got workshops that I want to do. I love that he already even knows, like, these are what I call them, guys, cash stack days. It's like, quantum and like putting how much more shit can I put in this week so that, we just keep stacking more money, money making activities. But she said, "Isn't that hard?" And I was like, well, absolutely, it's hard. This is my husband. This is my best friend that I don't get to be around. Like, it's hard when I go to the gym and it's boring. And it's hard when I go to bed and there's nobody beside me at night. And I was like, but he understands that these are goals. These are goals that are important to me and that I need to be here. And I have followed him everywhere. And, he's gone on his deployments and his TDYs and all of those things. It would be really terrible if he didn't understand that I needed to be here to build my thing. Right. And she was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, so of course it's freaking hard. I'm a human being. I'm a wife, but I was like, but I'm also a very driven entrepreneur and he understands that and he's giving me space. So that question comes up all the time, honestly. It was crazy, but yeah, I was like, of course it's hard. I'm a human being. I love my husband. Oh, goodness. So, and I kind of want to talk about something that isn't talked about enough, I think, in relationships, and which is boundaries, right? I really don't think this is actually talked about enough in entrepreneur space, in the leadership space, in the military space, maybe. But I definitely don't think it's talked about enough in the relationship space. So, again, I think a boundary is just understanding who gets to cross the line and come and play in my sandbox and who doesn't. And I don't even mean like just the who, right? People, but like things, thoughts, everything, right? Like understanding what you stand for, understanding our values and saying, okay, and Will and I are on this side, and if you're not good for us, we're going to set that boundary. But I'm just curious, babe, what are some of the boundaries that we have had to create over the years, whether it is in business life, and even with each other, that have really actually protected our relationship? Because a lot of people think boundaries is just like, I'm going to do me. But because this is a relationship episode, what are some of the boundaries that we've had to create to help navigate our power dynamics?
Well, I'm sorry, you knew where I was going with that one. I'm not gonna joke. So communication, right, during the day, like can't be talking and be focused on what we're doing as driven individuals, right? So we had to create, and that's a two-way thing. That's a both. Like you understand that if I'm not responding, it's because, I can't. And then I understand that if you're not responding, it's because you hate me. No, no, seriously, the other way around, right? Like if it's not responding, it's not we're ignoring each other. It's because we're both driven and we're getting after the thing. So that we had to set some boundaries on that. And then also too, I check you on this one, and you do on me sometimes, is when the work day ends or when it should end for a normal person is people work 9 to 5. For me, it's like 7:30 to 4:30 or my 12-hour shifts when I'm working those. But if you're taking calls on a Saturday, I'm not mean about it, but we're accountable to each other, right? So it's like, would you normally take this call on a Saturday, or would you normally take that call at 8 o'clock? And then you come back and you come back from a thoughtful place and you're like, no, I wouldn't normally, but that's the time difference here in the UK or something, right? So like, yeah, we have a way of, talking about boundaries and I think, we do a pretty good job at holding each other accountable to those.
To the boundaries, yeah. Yeah, the communication piece, the like he mentioned, it was huge right from the get-go, right? Like I was like, I'm not a normal stay-at-home housewife. I am an entrepreneur. I've got goals, I've got dreams, and I gotta stay focused on my work. And it's no different, guys, with kids, right? Like we don't have little kids in the house. We don't even have any kids in the house anymore. They're like, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're empty nesters this year. But when we met, I did, right? And so even as an entrepreneur, I would have had to have told my kids the same thing, right? Like when my door is shut, I'm coaching, please do not interrupt me, blah, blah, blah. This is my work. And so we have to set boundaries. So boundaries are a healthy thing, you guys, whether it's in your relationship with your husband or your partner or your kids or your team. Boundaries to me it's a way to protect your sanity. And yeah, that was honestly a huge challenge for me moving to the UK as a coach and as an entrepreneur because I got really good at working from like 9 to 5 when we were in the States because everyone else is done working too. But when your clients are 6 hours, behind you, and I'm like, but I just got to answer this one boxer or this one email. And he's like, babe, it's 5. Like, unless it's an emergency, they don't need your ass today. Like, it'll be fine. And I'm like, you're right, right? And sometimes there are where I have to navigate, and then sometimes there is. And that's that beautiful balance that we're talking about, guys. It's not like he's not like trying to control my schedule because he knows, that's not a way to go about it with me because it wouldn't get him the outcome that he wants. But he also has to know when to remind me of that. And it's like, okay, and we do the same. So I agree with those two boundaries. That was huge. So I kind of
So
went,
I guess
go ahead.
okay, so I guess like the question is like, is it always that like is that always your response is always so like loving? You're like, oh, right, babe, you're right. Because the receiving end is not typically like that. How
See,
do
this
you
is
how
it,
do you
ladies.
navigate
This is it. Yeah, yeah,
how do you navigate right your emotional awareness when I do hold you accountable, right? Because that's a big thing is emotional awareness
yeah. Yeah,
in a
you're right.
relationship. So like when I do hold you accountable because you do it to me and I have to like check my emotions too, how do you what frame of reference or frame of mind do you come at the accountability you're being held to, the standard that you're being held to in a
Mm,
relationship?
yeah,
I
that's
can answer it for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, let me try and take a stab first, and then if I got it wrong, you can take it. So I'm not perfect. I'm just gonna say that, ladies. Nobody is. And I'm a crazy, fiery Puerto Rican. So some days I'm like, bang, right? And I just let him have it. I'm like, and then he's like, okay, well, coach got coached. And then that just kind of makes me mad because like that's his sarcasm. He speaks sarcasm, by the way. So like that's one of his love languages, and that's like one of his languages he speaks. So yeah, I'm like that, it depending on the mindset that I'm in, I'm like, no. Right? Like, no. And I'm like, mm-mm. Like, we're shutting this shit down. Like, do not go any further, or I am coming back with my claws out and we're gonna have this fight. And flight is in conflict, and it's good because we do get through our conflict resolutions really well. We have a really great system for that. So not all the time am I great. However, sometimes there are times where I'm like, you know what, you are right. and I have to work on this, and I appreciate it. And even though I may not say it, I do appreciate you, babe, holding me to a higher level of standard, because it's not healthy for us if I'm constantly feeling defensive versus like, okay, we're together.
And you always come back, and I was hoping that you get to it, but you didn't quite get there. Is you always come back with you. I know this is coming from a place of love,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not coming from a place of I'm trying to control you, or I'm trying to point the finger at who's at fault or whatever have you. It's you always come back and you're like, yeah, I wanted to punch you in the face in the beginning when you fucking checked me, but I know that it's coming from a place of love, not anywhere else. So yeah.
It is. It is. Because, I mean, you guys, we do this even in the gym. Now we're talking like work boundaries, right? And like when I'm letting my clients kind of cross into that boundary there at work after hours, or when my Voxer messages are going off in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh my God, and he's like, shut it off, shut it off. But even the littlest things that we will check each other with and hold each other accountable with is like even in the gym. Let's just say that I'm trying to shoulder press something and I'm like, you know what? I'm just tired. I'm done. He's like, quit being a little bitch. Push it. That weight is there for you to push it. And it is coming from a place of love, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to push this. And then I do it. And then I feel so amazing. He's like, how'd that feel? I'm like, I'm so strong. I'm a rock star. Right. So like, I love that he can see that potential in me and he can see when I'm playing small and he'll call me out on it. And I do like it. I mean, most of the time, otherwise I'm like, no, I'm not doing it because we all have our days. Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes he gets
Yeah.
Carissa like, no, I'm not lifting anymore. And sometimes like, you right.
Like, oh, she chose violence this morning. But to bring it back to like the work boundary, she actually silenced my commander's phone call the other day. So that was, she's like, I'm gonna hold this boundary for him. Ignore.
Hey, y'all, it was the middle of my night. Yeah, no. And to be all fair, I thought it was my own phone. I was quickly trying to shut it off. Neither here. Like, we won't go down that. But yeah, it's beautiful banter, but it's very true. Like this is us. This is real. It's raw. Not every day is perfect. But we know at the end of the day, like this is where we want to go. And it comes back to that teammate mentality, guys, of like it's us against the problem, it's us against the world. I think that's his whole Ohio State mindset in there, but he has definitely ingrained it in, and I love it. I'm like, you're right. It's absolutely us against the problem. It's not us versus each other. Because I had 15-year marriage with it was us, it was like me against him, and that's not a healthy way to fight. It's like let's look at the problem, let's talk about the problem, let's talk about how this problem makes each of us feel and what we need, from each other, and then like let's go and attack it together. It's that mission, like great, let's do it together mentality. I love that. I love that. So speaking of communication and teammate mentality, a couple of years ago we were in Greece. In fact, I think you were deployed on your year tour in Turkey, and we met up in Greece, and we were sitting out by the pool, and we were talking about fun things that we would like to do. And because Will and I, we love talking, whether it's over cigar or hookah, like we just love talking about like cool things we could do. And I don't know who brought it up, babe. But it was just like, wouldn't it be cool if we did like something together? Like, I don't think couples do this together. I don't think that they're planning life together anymore. I think they're just living on autopilot until their kids are out of the house and they're like, God, we don't even know each other anymore. But like there we were kind of planning our future and our vision and what we wanted to see from each other and like all of these things. I was like, do you think couples are doing this? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if couples come together and like talk about what the things that they want to create together, right? Because we each individually have our own passions. But we started talking about like, wouldn't it be cool if, if we create an experience for other couples to have the exact experience that we're having right now? And it just kind of started, right? That's that seed that got planted. And for what, a year, babe? I don't even think we did anything with it.
Yeah, it's about a year.
Yeah, and then I think it was the following year where we went to an escape in the cabin, and we were planning our goals again. It's our yearly thing, guy. And I was like, let's do it. Like, let's create an experience for couples to come together. Two individually strong people can come together and create a power couple, right? It's like an explosive, awesome couple. And I started, like we started brainstorming about this, and then all of a sudden, like anything Will and I put our minds to, we're all in. We're like, fuck it, let's do it. We're not waiting for, the perfect time or the right time. But how, I'm curious, like, why did you say yes to that? Because you're not in the coaching industry necessarily. Like you got nothing to gain out of like doing some experience like this with me together. Like what made you say yes to creating the ultimate power couples retreat with me?
Well, that really like um that is a deep personal question because um when you ask why I wanted to do that, it comes from a place of I want genuinely want people to be the best versions of themselves, right? And that's like a leadership philosophy that I try to, always live by is how are you going to empower your people to be better? But in this perspective is you said, hey, would you want to do this? What kind of teammate would I have been if I'm like, nah, that's stupid. Nah, right? No, because we come from, some failed relationships and we've learned a lot of things the hard way. And I feel like if we didn't share, because I see a lot of relationships that could be great if they just knew how to navigate some of these failures that we have navigated through and employ lessons that we were teaching that we facilitated lessons on. Why wouldn't I want to do that to help people grow and have a teammate mentality, have a teammate that they can rely on and be, have a strong relationship. So the answer was very clear to me is yeah, I would love to share whatever knowledge I have because we're not therapists or whatever. Um, I wanted to do it because genuinely want people to be the best versions and best teammates for each other. Because I saw the relationship that we have and it's inspiring to me
Hmm.
um, the the things that we've gone through,
Hmm.
to be able to share that with other people. I think is was important in the moment. I think it's important today. Hopefully, we have another one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the couples last year kind of I won't say forced us, but yeah, they were like, okay, so next year when we do this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is now a thing. It's gonna be Rise Up Couples Edition, all of the things that we do. So, I'm just really quick, what do you feel most couples are missing when it comes to becoming a true team?
I think it's like a two-parter, right? I think they're missing the communication piece. And then I think that coupled with accountability, right? Being able to hold each other accountable in a tactful yet firm manner. To with that comes like how you receive the accountability. But I
Hmm.
think if they master communication um, with each other, learn each other's language, how to speak each other's language, but also be able to hold each other accountable to their goals, I think that a lot of couples would be stronger.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. And when you think about our experience that we did create last year in Punta Cana for the couples, you guys, just to kind of paint the picture, Will and I, over what, 4 days, 5 days, we curated a beautiful experience that talked about communication. We talked about boundaries. We set goals together as couples. We shared wisdom and lessons from all other kinds of so many other aspects. But I'm curious, what was your favorite session, whether you led it or I led it? What was your favorite session and why?
Well, I always like the games in the beginning because that gets people talking, and you learn a lot about people through stuff like that. So I thought that was great. But you kind of learn a lot about a relationship in the goal setting class. When they look at each other and they're like, I didn't even know that that was a goal of yours.
Hmm.
So not only are you talking about goals and accountability now because you're voicing those goals, you can hold that person accountable, but you're communicating with that partner and you're starting to speak that language, right? Of like this interests you, this is what you're trying to do. Like I think the goal set and you facilitated that specific portion of the retreat Yeah, I thought the goal setting was huge because it's been huge for us in our relationship.
Mhm. It really has. It really has. I'm just like, who doesn't set goals like this? And I'm like, wow, almost all the world doesn't set power couple goals. But it's cool because it's fun to see these couples now. It's what almost been like 6 or 7 months. It's fun to see them now working towards these goals and these shared visions, no matter what it is, whether it was financial goals, relationship goals, intimacy goals. Um, that was honestly one of my favorite sessions. But yeah, it's fun to see the growth that they are intentionally working towards together as a team versus individuals trying to power through it solo, right? Because
Hmm.
it's exhausting doing that solo. My favorite, honestly, was your intimacy workshop because a lot of people think intimacy is just physical, it's just sex, it's that piece of a relationship. But again, when you were in Turkey, guys, we had to find ways for us to like date we had to still date each other while he was away, like via Zoom, right? Thank goodness for Zoom nowadays. But like I remember us wanting to work on intimacy, and Will actually came to our like own Zoom call, our own date night, and he's like, I want to tell you about something that I learned, and the different types of intimacy. And of course my brain went just to sex because that's all I've ever really thought intimacy was. And then he taught me the other levels of intimacy, and that's really been a huge piece, I think, of why we are continuously growing together is because we understand the different types of intimacy that each of us even want. But that was my favorite workshop because, I got to see you, lead this, something that was really impactful for me to learn from you. And then it was really great to again see those men stand up and, be like, oh, wow, okay, this is how I can connect intimately with my wife in other forms outside of the bedroom. So it was really again cool to see men grow from that experience as well as women. But yeah, I loved that. I love that workshop that you did.
Well, thank you.
Of course, of course. If you guys are interested and you want to know what those different levels of intimacy are we maybe we'll do a whole nother episode on just that because it's game changing. I think when you're trying to,
It's deep.
it is.
It's deeper. Yeah, people think of intimacy, like you said, of just like sex, and it's like, yeah, that is one part of it, but there's like four other layers, And if you mastered one, that's great, but you're not always gonna have sex. It's not always gonna be there or readily available, especially. I was gonna make a joke, but it's not always gonna be there, right? So sometimes you have to find other ways to be intimate and grow your relationship in other ways.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I say we postpone that conversation and just have a whole conversation around intimacy and how to bring each other together closer with that. Because it was eye-opening when you read that to me and you taught me that, and it was awesome. And it actually made so much sense why we love doing things like active together. I mean, we'll hike together. We love nature stuff together. Like it's so many other cool things. So yeah, we'll definitely bring that back in. So that then kind of I want to kind of just take us now. So yes, if you're like, is she going to host? Are they going to host? Yes, we will be more, hosting the Rise Up Ultimate Power Couples retreat again in 2026. And this will probably be a constant thing. Everything continues to grow, right? It started out as a retreat. Then we're thinking like one day we do one day masterminds. We're thinking about a book. Like there's so many really cool things that just that one experience did for us as a couple. We learned through it. But last year, it was so just yeah, just last October, right? Will and I got together again, and we were sitting at the dining room table this time, and we were sharing about our goals and what we wanted to focus on for 2026, and what was important that we did in 2025 that we wanted to do again in 2026, and immediately we both. When we reflected, because then it's important if we're looking forward to also look back. Like, what did we do? What did we like about it? What did we learn from it? How do we grow from it? Do we want to do it again? Things like that. And one of the things was our Rise Up Kenya experience. And I this will be my third tour leading. The year one, Will didn't go with me. I think he was actually in Turkey. That
I
was a big
was, yeah.
year. Year two, Rise Up Kenya, right? We Will came, he provided all the security. He leads all of the security and the ops for all of that. But we also brought, my daughter with us on that experience. So when we were reflecting back, we were like, should we do Rise Up Kenya again? And babe, what was the response?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And if you caught a couple of episodes ago on iconic leadership, we talked about a leadership. Will and I got together and just really talked about leadership and what that looks like. And I think that leadership is, like is taking courageous action too. And so when we said, do we want to do Rise Up Kenya again? And he was like, absolutely. He's very service oriented. I didn't realize how service oriented I was until I started going to Kenya and doing these, humanitarian, empowerment speaking tours. But here we are, 2 months, whatever. I don't even know how long we're in Kenya yet again. So, what are you most excited about that we are going to be able to do at Rise Up Kenya this year?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, just the mission itself is like hands down um, some of the most impactful because when I think of service, I think about, oh, like volunteering a couple hours here and a couple hours there, like doing things like snow cones at like the Special Olympics, like that was like important to me, like growing up. But when you guys go, you women go and you speak to these young ladies, we're talking about impacting 23,000 young women. 23,000.
In 9 days.
In an average day, I maybe interact with what, 40 people.
Hmm.
On one day, you're interacting with tens of thousands of people. And so just the sheer magnitude of the impact of what you guys are doing is it's awesome. So I think that's what I'm most excited to see is the because we get to see the young ladies when they come up and talk to you, and they're so happy
Hmm.
and just knowing that they come from humble lives. Um, yeah, seeing that and seeing how happy they are and knowing that that's times 23,000 times is awesome, right? So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about. But you know me, like I love doing the hard stuff. So like I would like the mud and putting the house together and stuff like that. I love to be in the security, like knowing that me doing my job is enabling you guys to be able to do your job. And it's like it's everything about it is impactful. And I love the experience. So it's hard to nail down one thing when it's all extremely important.
I know it is. It's soul work. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm just going to reflect back. I don't normally get to see my husband work, right? When he's in high level security and doing military things and like protecting our freedom and like, all of the things, I don't get to see him in his element where he always is coming and watching me speak on stages, run retreats, all kinds of things, right? He's always getting to see and hear how I get to impact. And it was really, really amazing to see last year, the level of security that he actually does and the awareness, the heightened awareness on like from sun up to sundown. Like I get to do what I get to do because of his power strength, right? So as strength as himself, he brings this sense of security and safety. And he's seeing all the moving parts where I'm just seeing the faces and the smiling, whatever, the kids and the impact and the tears, but he sees all of that. And it was really cool to see him do just probably a tiny, like 1% of probably what he even does for the military. But like, it was so cool to be able to see my husband use his strengths. This is his zone of genius and to really stand in his power, right? Because we talk about that, right? Women standing in their power. I got to see my husband finally stand in his power just a little bit. And it was really, really magical to see him, do that for us. And he'll be doing that, of course, again, every time we go back. So he leads up the security team for Rise Up Kenya 2026 again, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So, babe, last major question here is what are you excited to create with me? Like if we could create anything in the next 12 to 16 to 2 year, 2 years, let's just say 2 years. If we could create anything together, what would we want to create? I'm just curious. What would you want us to create?
Can I tell him? Can I tell him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Um, I
That's
would
great when
love,
you tell him.
yeah. I would love to one have a mastermind day. That's like 5 meter target. Like I think we could fucking execute that like at a high level right now. Since we did a retreat, that's like almost a step back. But the
Yeah.
thing that I really want to create with you is I want to publish a book with you. I
Oh.
would love to put what the things that we talk about, the things that we've been through, how it's impacted our relationship, and literally just our secret sauce of how we navigate the hard and the easy times, right? Into a codified book and have that published and get it out there, get that message out there. I would love to create that with you, and I hope I didn't like spoil some surprise because we had floated the idea back and forth, a couple times, but I'm putting it out there so the listeners, like whoever is listening, hold us accountable to that. Be like, hey, what you said you were going to do this, well, yeah. When are we going to do it, babe? Ball's in your court now.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, you guys, you heard him. I accept the challenge. Let's put the Ultimate Power Couples Playbook together, the Adkins edition. I love it. I love it. I love it. I would love to see. I'm really seeing a call for more experiences for couples, not just in a retreat experience for eight, right? That's a very intimate experience where we get to go and we mastermind together and we dive deep in together with eight couples. After this last event, babe, that I did, people came up and reflected. They were like, "I love that your husband was here supporting you. I love that every time you got done off stage, he was back behind the stage saying, 'What do you need? How can I help? You did great,' like cheering me on, right?" So like they love seeing that, which also then tells me that they secretly wish that they had someone in their corner like that too, with whatever that is that they're creating, right? So, and not that their men aren't or their partners aren't necessarily, but they got to see that in real time on like how a power couple truly supports one another and that teammate mentality. And so a lot of people over the last couple of weeks that I've been here in Nebraska, they're like, what's next for you guys? You did the retreat, you want to do a mastermind. Now you're saying we're going to do a book. That's awesome. So it's like I would love to see a 1 day live experience, Rise Up Couples, 150 couples, 150 people, massive, breakout rooms, all you doesn't have
You
to be
just had to
this year.
like one up mine, huh? You just had to, you just
Of
had to
course.
take it there.
But I think that's like we need the workbook. So I like look at this vision coming together. So it's like we had to have the retreat last year to kind of figure out what we could do, what we could put together. We want to put together mastermind days this year, along with this book. Now I'm hearing. So I'm seeing 2027 a rise up couples experience, even if it's a 2 day where it's again we bring in other power couples because we don't claim to know it all. Like we want to showcase other amazing couples who are doing amazing things. So I would challenge us to start thinking about the Ultimate Power Couples Summit or conference and bring couples from all over the world, all over the globe to
I
learn.
will say that that's the first time that she's brought this up. So this is the first time that I'm hearing it too. So yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. So you guys can see so much more of Will and Chris and really what iconic leadership looks like. That is iconic leadership as a power couple dynamic, as business, as entrepreneurs, as leaders in our own professions. So that's super fun. Okay, we are going to end the show. I promise you guys with rapid fire. Again, Will, no overthinking here. These are going to be really fun. And if you have a rapid one, you can always, shoot one back. But here we go. Who's more competitive, you or me?
Me,
Who's better under pressure?
me,
Who's likely to say, we need to talk?
you.
What's one thing we do really well as a couple?
Fight.
What's one thing we're still working on?
Communication.
Okay, all right.
Hey, one for you. Top or
Okay.
bottom?
What?
Top or bottom?
Top on a couch. All right. Hey,
I can
thanks.
attest
I
to
love
that.
it. I love it. Noted. Amazing. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, babe, thank you so much again. I know you are busy, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight and sharing our goals and our vision for what we see for our life, even if it's just for the next 12 to 18 months. Thank you, though, so much for being on Iconic Leadership.
Thank you, thank you. I enjoyed it as always. I loved it. Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed this, sweetheart. I loved
Love
it.
it. And it sounds like we're gonna have to put another episode together on intimacy. So when I get back to the UK, we'll do something together there. But ladies, I love this conversation. It was such a reflection of what we believe in, not just in our relationship, but how we live our lives. But it's a reflection of what I believe in, what is possible for women, right? I believe that we can have it all. The bank account, the business, the amazing partnerships, the deep intimacy, the great sex, like all of it, right? Like I believe we can have it all. It is our birthright, ladies. And this is a reflection of what that could look like. If you're not in a partnership, that it's like if it all starts with us though, because we can't be healthy for our other partner or our man if we are not first, in the right place with our own headspace. So if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking to grow and develop and become a stronger woman, so that you can lead better in your relationship, definitely give me a shout out, book a clarity call, whatever I can do to help you. Because if not, right, we will continue the patterns, whether it's the fighting or the resentment or the anger, whatever it is, we've got to work on ourselves first. You've got to be the woman that your husband fell in love with and that you desire to be. And that all starts with, radical ownership and where you're at and the part that you're taking, the role that you're playing. So, anyways, you guys, this growth is intentional, right? A partnership, it takes work. And that is something that you have to be willing to do in your relationship. I do believe that. And otherwise you'll lose yourself. You guys will drift off if you're just two individuals, leading your own lives. Come together. Hopefully you've learned something from this episode. I'd love to actually, Will and I would love to hear if you have a reflection, please send them in, comment below how this episode landed for you. And if you take one thing away from this episode, it's that being strong, aligned couple isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other and communicating honestly and continuing to grow again and again and again. So let's have a deeper conversation. If you want to go deeper with me, you know how to find me. If you are ready for the next level of business and leadership, I invite you to book a call. And of course, if this episode landed for you, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to listen to this conversation today. And until then, I will see you on another epic episode of Iconic Leadership. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Iconic Leadership. If today's conversation activated something within you, make sure you subscribe and share this podcast with women who are ready to rise up too. Leaving a review helps this movement reach more women stepping into their power. This is Iconic Leadership.